Alrighty boys, welcome back to another video, and today we will be discussing a thread posted by the developer. This is after 1.5.9 was released. I don't think it has to completely do with 1.5.9, but the question to answer is, what do you think about current influence cost at proposals? Whenever you propose something, what about the influence cost? Is it good, is it bad? And that's what he's going to be talking about here. He has some good information right over here, and also another bigger reply over here. So we're probably going to figure some stuff out, see what everyone has to say, and go from there. I saw him on my channel. Shout out to you. Showing support, showing more information, all of that. I do appreciate it, and I know everyone else in the community appreciates it as well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to link it down below, and let's go. Alright, so he starts off, currently in proposals, player and other clan leaders can spend 10 influence, slightly favor, 40 influence, strongly favor, or 100 influence, fully push for favoring any outcome. This is pretty much, what he's talking about is, like, let's say if you're a vassal and a new castle gets taken, and there's 3 ways that you can vote on who gets the castle, right? This is just one example. And you can spend 10 influence for a slightly favor, which barely does anything, 40 influence to strongly favor, and 100 influence to fully push, the, I guess, like the percentages in the favor of the person that you want to get it. And then he states, however, it seems in most cases, player cannot change what will be chosen, even he or she spends 100 influence because lowest and highest limits are so low. True. And I feel like, here's another thing that I feel like the voting, especially for, new fiefs, they're always very one-sided. I'm not opposed to one-sided votes, but it's never anything close, if that kind of makes sense, right? Like, maybe I've seen it a little bit, but from all my time playing, and I don't know if anybody else can agree with me in that, a lot of the times, whenever the votes happen, it's like 1% for one of the people, like, and then like 99% for the other person, and then like 0 for the third person. You know what I mean? Sometimes it would go a little bit more, you know what I mean? Like maybe 10% here, 20% here, but still the highest guy has so much, and it's always just super one-sided, and obviously you even putting 100 influence won't really do anything with that. You know what I mean? So maybe how the AI votes maybe needs to be looked at. That might be another thing, right? But let's see what he continues to say. What is it? He states, okay, wait, let me just restart the sentence. However, it seems in most cases, player cannot change and will be chosen, and what will be chosen, even if he or she spends 100 influence, because the lowest and highest are so low. And clans mostly vote on same outcome altogether. Another problem, we are trying to differentiate selections of NPC clans more. However, in most cases, this is hard to achieve. Okay, so he does. Okay, so I don't even need to go on that little rant. So he does see that that is a problem, that clans do just they group up and just vote on a singular thing, and there's no real close votes really. Okay, and he states that he needs to look into it, but it's kind of a weird problem. Okay. So this making proposal feature is mostly not used by player because it is useless in 90% cases. Very true. I used it early on when I started playing the game because I thought it would do something for like my reputations in between like the other people that were voting, but it didn't really do that. So I do agree. You don't really use this, and most you have like the choice to like abstain or spend 10 influence. Alrighty. Dev continues, I think making these amounts higher, especially lowest one, can result in better gameplay because more clans will stay abstain, and player will be able to spend higher influence if he/she really wants to change current situation. What do you think about this? It can be good to collect more feedback about this issue from you. Here's an example for comparing 10, 40, and 100 versus 20, 60, and 180 versus 30, 75, and 200 for some cases. Alright, so by increasing how much influence you need to actually vote and not abstain, in a way it makes it so only a few lords can vote and the player can vote. This will make it obviously that your vote can sway more votes, so it will make gameplay a lot more interesting, but at the same time only a few lords will have a say. And what happens if those lords die? What happens You know, if a big part of those lords die, and let's say there's only two lords that can afford it left, the ruler and you're the vassal with the most influence. And let's say he always picks the middle option, whether it's 75, 60, or 40. And you always pick the higher option. Therefore, you're in a way stronger than the ruler. You make all the decisions, if that kind of makes sense, right? And is that good for gameplay? I don't know. I think it will make a lot more interesting gameplay if the votes can be swayed. That's for sure. Um, that's interesting. This is very interesting actually. But then again, because I feel like influence has been really knocked down recently, like really knocked down recently. In terms of what do you call it? What am I trying to say? In terms of like policies and just overall how much influence you can get daily has been really diminished. So it's hard to really reach some of these numbers. But let's see what he says. Spoiler comparison of 3 different cases. Alright, so the first one is 10, 40, and 100. And as you can see, pretty one-sided. You know what I mean? Now in the 20, 60, and 180, still kind of one-sided, but as you can see, the percentages do raise, and if you were to go fully in, you would influence it quite a bit. Now for the 30, 75, and 200, your 200 influence, since most other, let's see if I can actually make this higher so you guys can actually see the difference. What's it called? As you can see, most of the lords, they put the least amount in most situations, with the higher lords putting in the middle amount, right? And even down here, once you get to these like numbers, the higher numbers, 30, 75, and 200, you see that the lords will mostly put in the lowest amount, and the guy who kind of has a good amount of influence will put the middle amount. But as you can see, it's a 30-70 vote right now. But if you were to put wait a minute, is this vote for declaring war with Western Empire? Oh, these are 2 different votes. I'm tripping. Okay, so okay, I see. So you have all these votes right here, and your 200 is actually worth 30% of the vote, which could sway it. And for the 2060 and 180, your vote is worth about 21%. So overall, what this shows is the higher you make the values, the more your vote counts, because obviously you'll have the bigger amount of influence compared to the AI lords on average. You know what I mean? Because you're the player and you can definitely get more influence. Okay. Before we move on, what do I think about this? I think we should give it a try. I think we should give it a try. I think the current system, it's kind of one-sided, very one-sided. So yeah, I think that's, very interesting. Yeah, I think we should give it a try. I'm just thinking in my head of what else we could really add to it, but maybe try this one out first and then go on to the next one, or maybe go full out to this one first, see if everybody enjoys the gameplay more, and then, go the other way. I would low-key make this 30, 75, and 250. If you're going all in, go all in, He states another. Okay, so this is a player response. More valid people than me will give you a specialized answer, more complete feedback regarding a section of the game. The only reason I write now is to applaud the kind initiatives. Okay, there it is. There's some love. Okay. This takes players' influence on decisions early on and increases it later. Right now, the player scrambles for influence until it reaches a point where it stops being something player worries about. But overall, I prefer this higher limits rather than the current ones. Okay. I'd be fine with increasing the amount to allow the player more opportunities to make a difference, but I feel like it will end up with the same root issue where the AI nobles still hive mind, make the same choices, and they all go together. Yeah. That is some of the problems. Okay. All right. So we have a player. Yeah, but in terms of what people are saying, kind of similar to what I'm saying is, you know, the bigger problem here is how the AI just always votes together. You know what I mean? And it's just always a one-sided vote. So it's like that needs to be changed as well, or tweaked a little bit for this to work. Like if you just implement this, it might still be the same issue. You might get closer to overturning your vote in some cases, yes, but overall, I think it will still be an issue. But all right, so we have a player statement and then a dev response. All right, so the player states that this is a workaround to the problem. To be honest, I feel some level of oligarchy is good due to the game seems to be inspired more in early medieval times where absolute monarchies wasn't that abundant. So I am against giving a full power to king/queen, but this approach requires mechanisms to influence lords supporting one option or other. What we have now is not enough. As far as I understood, they will be more likely to support you in fief votes if you have good relationships with them, but it doesn't matter when you go to vote for war or not. For me, a good approach will be having a vote council where you can speak and spend influence with lords before the vote and then proceed. Only lords assist in the council, or send in a representative like his wife, or assist in the council can vote. It will be immersive. It will add politics layer to the game. Will give you a reason to enter the scene, etc. It is not going to happen anyway. Thanks for reading. Good one. Thanks for reading, and I really appreciate your effort to get back from the forums. I agree. That would be kind of cool. Where you can actually, if you want to influence other lords to actually go in with you on that vote, what would be cool. I don't know if the scene thing would happen. But what would be cool is what if before the vote, like how you have like a certain amount of time to actually vote for the you have a certain amount of time to actually cast your vote for whatever vote does happen, right? It pops up and then eventually it'll pop up again and be like you need to make a choice, right? What if in that allotted time you're allowed to let's say there's like a different screen that we can open up and you're allowed to send influence to specific lords to actually sway their decision of it on if they're going to say yes or no. And what if all those lords have like a specific amount, like hey, if you pay me 30 influence, then guess what? I'll vote on your side. I'll vote for whatever you vote for. I'll support your vote with this and that. I think that would be a good way around it, or maybe not paying influence, maybe paying gold or something like that. I think that would be cool. It doesn't have to be an absolute scene, but it could be like a before the vote, like it's another like screen, and it just shows off all the lords that are going to participate in the vote. It's going to show off what they're willing to bargain with, and then you can either spend your influence or spend your gold to make sure they flip that vote. I think that would be cool, and also you can like have another section where it shows like, oh, they usually vote with this guy, or they're going to say yes, but they'll say no if you give this much gold. Something like that. Another screen before the vote I think would be cool, where you have the chance to actually sway it and also kind of in a way, you know what I mean? Like, what's it called? Not talk directly to the lords, but in a way communicate where they should vote. I think that would be cool. But all right, the devs response, yes, it is a workaround. In future, it is possible that we can place a better/developed voting system where you can change other clans' ideas. Exactly what I just said. I cannot guarantee this, but I know there are some ideas for this. This was already an issue discussed. It has pros and cons. For now, till that day comes, let's make things better with small touches. There we go. Also, for additional information, currently, effects of 3 choices are 0.2x, 0.5x, and 1.x. This means when you spend 10 influence... Oh, excuse me. This means when you spend 10 influence, its effect becomes 0.2x. If you spend 40 influence, it becomes 0.5x. And if you spend 100, it becomes 1x. Okay. Actual ratios between 10, 40, and 100 is a bit weird. These numbers should have same ratios, all something like 20, 60, 180. Effects can be 2 times all. I don't know exactly what he's talking about here. So when you select lowest one, effect per influence become highest. Wait, so when you select lowest one, effect per influence becomes higher. Currently it is still like this, but I prefer something like 20, 60, 180 instead of 10, 40, 100. 2 reasons. Ratios between 3 choices are all same. 3 times the previous one, plus min max amounts are higher. As you see, player effect on games decisions increase when we increase amounts. Okay, so he states that why these numbers are chosen as an increase thing is because their ratios are the same as the other ones. They're just times 2 or times 3. But also there's a bigger disparity between the numbers than the 10, 40, and 100 votes. So it makes more sense. That's what he's talking about. Okay. And this will actually, in a way, make it so the player can choose the higher amounts that the lords don't have, and then their decision actually, contributes to the vote. And then he states current system's biggest disadvantage is that after you press proposal, you have nothing to do. Even selecting max amount is not enough. Then best you can do is stay and abstain to not lose relations also. True. Because the current system, even going max 100 doesn't really do much. So, okay, I agree. One more addition, even if it is not 100% related, at 1.5.10, NPC clans will not propose same proposals several days after rejection. For example, if a clan X proposes making war against Britannia and it is rejected, somehow clan X or another clan will not propose this same proposal again after a short time. There will be 15 days between the same proposals. Okay, it's kind of like a grace period. So as a king player will be able to prevent some war/peace decisions to happen. Even other clans mostly favor for it. Previously, even player rejected, same proposal was proposed again and again. Okay, so what he's saying is this will give you more power as a ruler, especially if you have a lot of clans. Because at 1.5.10, if a clan proposes, let's start war with this kingdom, right? Before, even if you were to somehow sway the vote, guess what? They would just keep proposing it day after day after day, and you would run out of influence, and then it's too late. You know what I mean? They're going to propose it regardless of what you say. But with this, as he's saying, if someone proposes going to war with this faction, and if you overrule it, then you have 15 days before they might propose it again. It's like a grace period, which I think is good, and it kind of gives you more control in a way. So, okay, cool. What else have we got? I think that's about it. But yeah, could be made into a slider instead of buttons. That'd be interesting, but I don't think they're gonna do that. Because he states if you make it a slider, then the whole the effect ratios will be completely off. The whole point of why he chose the specific numbers is because of the how the ratios and stuff works. With all the math that's done here. I kind of don't completely understand it, but I understand what it's supposed to do. But yeah, what do I think? Pump it up. Let's see how it does. Let's see if people like it, and let's see what the let's see how gameplay improves. I think just pump it up to 30, 75, and 200, and let's see what happens. If it gets too chaotic, you can bump it down always again, and go from there. And we'll see how 1.5.10, how this works, the grace period works, and if people enjoy that as well. And just go from there. I think that's the best way to do it. Just test it out and actually have players play it and see if they, actually participate in more votes. So that's what I got to say. Let me know what you guys think. Ask me any questions and concerns. And like always, stay safe.